Myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are talking about one topic, that is currencies. In currencies basically we are talking about ideas. In ideas basically we are talking about global warming. And in this global warming basically I am talking about the thing is, that is solution basically. So solution basically is 20% error basically of the global warming. So 20% error is from the uh, education side basically, and that is basically error only basically. Reason is, on the base of set of words basically, the city has created, and the set of words basically the entire creation has created. So city is created, but to maintain that city basically it's very difficult. But World Bank says that basically we have created the product. So product basically has created, and product basically has created like this basically. So like this basically the product basically are created basically. So one of the person told that basically like this the products basically are created, that's okay. Now basically after creating the product basically, uh, the product is created, yes basically the product is created, then basically the World Bank is telling that basically we have created the product, according to the product basically we are going to send the data. So now one of the person asked the question, so in this basically the World Bank is also responsible for this 20% error. Then one person told that basically it might possible basically, because they have invested the money basically. So one of the person told this also, that the NASA and ISRO groups basically they are also responsible for this basically. Then he told that might be possible. It might possible that they might not be knowing basically, because whenever the glacier basically comes at up to the certain level, then basically they immediately fires. That is the earthquake basically. So one of the person told that basically the earthquakes are created basically. Then one of the person told that it might be possible basically, that earthquake basically might be created. To create basically earthquake basically you just need to create one incidence, and that incidence basically you have to pass as a power supply, and that power supply will generate earthquakes on the base of that incidence. So it's very dangerous, and this everything are basically created. So one of the person told that Canada, Japan, China, Russia, USA, UK, this group basically creates it basically. This group basically creates the everything basically. So one of the person told that yes, here basically this groups only basically creates the incidence basically according to the earthquake magnitudes basically which they gets. If the magnitude is basically more than 10 basically, then basically I don't know what they are going to create with. But this type of thing basically has never happened basically in the earth basically planet, after the generation basically has started, when they are calculating the magnitude basically. So 10 basically earthquake basically still has not came basically. 10 earthquake basically has not came basically. 10 earthquake basically has not came basically. So like this basically, one of the person told that basically if small earthquake is also happening, then also basically these groups are creating so many incidents basically, and generating the incidents also basically in the countries basically. Then basically you can just imagine basically. That means one of the person told that basically the people who are earning the dollar and earning the pound basically, they are only doing the incidents, or basically few political people are also basically doing creating the incidents. Then it was that basically without political people incidents basically can't be created basically. If you want to create some incidents basically without police permission, without political permission, you can't create the incidents basically. So whatever things is going to happen after 1 week, that permission basically has taken from the police group 1 week before only basically. So one of the person told that basically everything basically is planned basically. So that's why basically the news channel basically everybody they gets the news in advance basically. Few news channel basically who are up to the level basically, and reached up to the certain level basically, they only basically gets this type of information basically. Rest of people basically gets, but not up to the level information basically they gets. Up to the level means incidence is going to happen, but when basically that basically they don't know. But the people who are basically up to the level, they basically know the exact time also, that at this time the incidence is going to happen. So it's very dangerous basically. So one of the person told that basically incidents are equal to earthquakes. Earthquakes are equal to incidents, and incidents basically are planned by the set of groups basically. So that's very dangerous basically. So here basically the incidents we have already discussed basically, right? Cyber cell part also basically we have discussed. In this basically that 50 crore people basically died. For that cyber cell groups are responsible 100%. In this basically entire groups basically are responsible. 200 people story also basically we discussed. So like this basically, this all basically things connected to what basically, these all things were basically directly connected in the connecting to the global warming error basically. Global warming error means you can say uh, temperature basically getting, this also basically we have discussed, temperature is basically getting increased, and according to the temperature basically the things happens basically. For example, one of the person told that basically, do you know basically in Himalaya, ice basically are kept basically, right? Basically, then they told that basically yes, here basically ice basically are not kept basically, they are generated. Actually, they are generated on the base of certain environment basically. So few people says that sometime basically the um, few people says that basically uh, in this lake basically lots of um, skeletons basically are kept basically, lots of skeleton basically are kept, and they basically say that basically if we keep the skeleton inside the water lake basically, then basically the water is not going to become bad basically, it's not going to uh, the water will be clear basically, that type of thing basically lots of people says basically. So like this in lots of lake basically we will find that data basically. So that's also very dangerous basically, that's also very dangerous thing basically. So lots of people says that basically um lots of say people says this basically, whether it's correct or not basically, that basically it's not confirmed, that's basically not confirmed. So one of the person told that basically the story basically of the 1300 cities basically which is created, 1300 person, sorry, 1300 city got the earthquake, and in this basically 22 blood groups data basically are directly connected. So on the base of this 1300 earthquake basically which has came, according to that basically you can just imagine the incidents basically these groups are going to create. So that will be, but if the incidence is getting created, they are basically going to get more money basically. So this basically converts into the business basically. So the people of Canada, people of USA basically will get more money basically, because incidents are creating more na basically. So this converts into the sales basically. That is the business basically. So just see basically up to what level the sales is coming, up to what level the business are coming. So business of basically China, business of America, business of Canada, that will increase basically. If the incidents will create, if the earthquakes basically will happen, and according to the earthquake basically the incidence is happening too much basically. But basically lots of people says that basically earthquakes basically are not created basically. Few people says that it's created. Few people says that comes automatically. And basically whenever the power supply basically gets merged with the environment basically, up to that level basically the world is basically just a few people are telling that up to that level basically the earthquakes are prepared basically. Up to that level basically earth planet people has not reached basically. It might possible that some satellite group basically might be connected up to that level, but earth planet basically has not reached that basically they can give this many magnitudes of earthquake in this city. That is basically only satellite, without satellite permission basically that is not possible. So here basically we are discussing 1300 cities basically got earthquakes, and here the 22 blood group basically got affected, and here basically we are discussing that also, that 20 percentage error basically are in the education side, that is that basically contains in the global warming error basically. So 20 percentage education error basically are 100% there basically. After this all discussion basically somebody told that basically yes basically it's error is there basically in the education sector.